Yeah, good evening, all. Welcome to TCS NQT 2026 coding training, day one. So, in this series, we'll try to solve previous year questions asked in TCS NQT examination. All coding questions, we'll try to solve them and understand the kind of questions, the difficulty level, and what are the different approaches for solving those questions, and we will learn what are the important topics, DSA topics to be covered to prepare for TCS NQT 2026 examination. So if anyone got a mail about TCS NQT 2026 exam, so the exam date is out. So I'll show you the mail. Let me share the screen to you. So this is the mail regarding TCS NQT, TCS Ion NQT IT. Okay, so 19th February 2026. Okay, and exam mode is in center. Okay, so that means you need to go to the center, allotted center, and in person you need to appear for the examination. Okay, so the date of examination is 19th February. Okay, so it is February 19th, 2026 for this student. Okay, so others may get a exam date immediately. Okay, so it may be on 20th, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so hopefully these 3 days you may have examination. So here you need to provide these things. Okay, so I understand that the corporate needs to access my profile and my scores. Okay, so he has given some uh, declaration rules here. Okay, so you need to uh, accept all these rules and regulations when you appear for the examination online. Got anyone got such kind of mail? Yes, anyone got such mail regarding center allotment? So the center allotment will be uh, announced. Okay, so 1 or 2 days before you will get another mail for this center allotment mail, and timing also. Okay, so first shift or second shift your examination. Okay, so the timing and the center allotment details will be sent to you in a separate mail. Okay, so for now this is the mail received about TCS NQT IT examination. Okay, so we'll start our coding journey for TCS NQT examination 2026 examination. Okay, so let us first look at the detailed syllabus. Okay, 2025 uh, examination. Okay, so I got this syllabus. Okay, so and exam pattern. Okay, so this could be for 2026. Now, so it will have two sections. One is called as a foundation section, and other one is called advanced section. Okay, so in foundation section again you will have three subsections: numerical ability, verbal ability, reasoning ability. Okay, so then the time allotment is 25 minutes, 25 minutes, 25 minutes. That means for section A, total 75 minutes of a time is allotted. And the total number of questions for numerical ability are 20, and you need to answer them in 25 minutes. And verbal ability 25 questions will be there, and the time is 25 minutes. And reasoning ability 20 questions, and time allotted is 25 minutes. Now coming to the part to be advanced section, so it contains advanced quantitative ability. Okay, so 25 minutes time. Okay, so this can be shared. Okay, and total questions will be 15. And advanced reasoning ability time is 25 minutes. Okay, and total questions are 15. Okay, so these two sections will be shared. Okay, so the questions will be shared between these two sections. Then you will have the important advanced coding section. Okay, so for this the time allotted is 90 minutes, and you will have two or three coding questions, and you need to solve those coding questions in 90 minutes. So previously there were two questions. Okay, so this time it may be three questions. Okay, otherwise two questions if you solve, then it is well and good, you will be selected for a next round. Okay, so the total duration of the examination is 190 minutes, and total number of questions 83 questions you need to attempt. Okay, so this is the examination pattern and the syllabus. Okay, so you need to cover these aptitude, verbal, and reasoning things. Okay, so and here is our coding part. Okay, so highest time 90 minutes for this section only. Okay, any doubts in this? Okay, so let us solve one previous year question. Okay, so today, now this is one of the NQT advanced coding previous year question. Okay, so first try to read the problem carefully and try to understand the problem statement. Okay, so uh, you need to read the problem statement 4 to 5 times and understand what is asked in the problem statement, what is input and what is output. Okay, so if you can figure out these things from the problem statement, okay, so then you are on the track. Okay, so what is the question? Let us work with this question today. So given an array of integers where every element appears even number of times except one element which appears odd number of times. Okay, so here you are given an array of integers in which every element appears even number of times. He's saying that all the elements appear even number of times. He has not mentioned that number and except one element. Okay, so one element appears odd number of times. Okay, so our task is write a program to find that odd occurring element in order of a log n time. In order of a log n time. Okay, so the equal elements must appear in pairs. See here, he has given another condition here. Okay, so the equal elements must appear in pairs. Okay, so that means they appear one after the other in the array, but there cannot be more than two consecutive occurrences. Okay, so that means these equal elements cannot appear more than two consecutive times. Okay, so that means if an element is occurring even number of times, it should appear only two times. More than two times, it cannot appear. Okay, so this is the given problem statement, and he has given some examples. Okay, so from these examples you need to understand the problem more clearly. Okay, so first 3 is given. Okay, so this 3 indicates that the number of elements in the array. Okay, so generally this is going to be the n value, size of the array. Okay, and these are the elements present in the array, integers present in the array. Okay, so here 2 3 2 is given. Okay, so he says that it does not have equal elements appear in pairs. Okay, so in this, no doubt 2 appearing 2 times, even number of times. Okay, but it is not appearing as a pair one after the other. Okay, so that's why this is not considered as a valid input. Similarly, there is another example given. 7 elements are there. Okay, so they appear like this: 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. Okay, so it contains 3 consecutive instances of an element. Here, the element 2 appears 3 times, but the condition given is cannot be more than 2 consecutive occurrences. Consecutive means side by side. Okay, so one after the other. If 2 occurring here one time, then immediately 2 should occur next to it. Okay, so this is called consecutive occurrence. Okay, so here it is occurring 3 times in this. 2 is occurring 3 times, that's why it is also not a valid input. Okay, so there is one more example, 5. Okay, so the elements are 2 2 3 1 1. Okay, then he says that it is valid. It is valid. Why? Because here 2 2 occurring in pair and occurring in even number, and similarly 3 3, sorry, 1 1. Okay, so 1 1 occurring in pair. Okay, even number of times, and there is only one element which is occurring a odd number of times. Okay, so then this is called a valid input, and the odd occurring element present in it is 3. 3 is the odd occurring element present in this input. Okay, so we need to enter only valid inputs. That means these kind of inputs are not considered. That means don't worry about these kind of inputs. Okay, so only valid inputs will present in the test cases. No need to handle these kind of test cases. Okay, these kind of invalid inputs will not present in the test cases. Only valid inputs will be there, and you need to develop logic considering them as valid inputs only. Okay, so sample input and output is given. Okay, so sample input is 5. Okay, so that means n size of the array is 5, and these are the 5 elements in the array: 2 2 3 1 1. Then the sample output should be 3. Okay, so here the odd occurrence element we need to print. Okay, so what is asked here? Program to find that odd occurring element. This odd occurring element we need to find out from this input. Okay, so in this case 3 is the odd occurring element. Got it? Okay, so this is the problem statement and sample input and output. Now we need to write a program for this. So you need to observe inputs and outputs very carefully and understand the problem statement. Okay, so you need to spend almost some here you have only 90 minutes of time, no? So don't worry, 20 minutes even if you spend on one question for understanding the problem. If you solve one question completely with all test cases passed in coding round. Okay, so if you solve 2 questions, that is well and good. Okay, and if you perform good in other sections, and definitely you will get an interview call. Okay, but at least one question with all test cases you must solve. If you solve first question with say out of 20 test cases, only 5 test cases passed, and rushing to the second question. Okay, and in this also your code satisfies only 5 test cases or 10 test cases. Okay, so they won't consider your programs. Okay, so they consider only if all test cases are passed. Okay, so that's why at least one question if you aim to solve completely. Okay, so that is well and good. So if time permits, after completing all other sections, then you can work out the second question. Okay, so I think for each section, when you move from one section to other section, so there is a timer will be there. Once the section timer is over, then only it goes to the next section. Got it? Okay, so this is the given problem statement. Now we'll work out the logic for this. Okay, so now how we can solve this problem? Okay, so forget about this time complexity first. Okay, so try to uh, develop some logic so that you can solve the problem. Okay, so if you look at this problem, okay, so now this is your array. This is your array 2, 2, 3, 1 and 1. Okay, so these are the indexes. Okay, so what we can do is, if we can sort these arrays elements, okay, if I arrange these elements in sorting order, okay, then it becomes easy to find out the pairs, and whichever is not having a pair, okay, so that is the odd occurring element in the array. That's how we can figure out. Otherwise, oh, it is difficult to find out. Got it? Or in other way, what you can do, if you can just go on traversing the array and checking for same kind of same kind of pairs, and if there is no such a uh, element, that means the element and its next element, if it is same, that is a pair. Okay, so this forms a pair here. This forms a pair. Okay, so then you need to jump to two steps in the array. Okay, so then you need to check again these two. Okay, but if the array is of a big size, then what we need to do, we need to traverse the entire array. Okay, so if you sort this array, now it becomes very easy to find out the logic. Okay, so 2, 2, then this is 3. Now see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so start from a index 0 onwards, I value. Okay, so 0 onwards, then you compare. Assume that this is our array. This is our array. Okay, so compare array of 0 and array of 1. If array of 0 and array of 1, if both are equal, that means they are appearing in a pair. Okay, so they are appearing in a pair. That means the element appears even number of times. So what you need to do is, you need to increment the I value 2 times. Okay, so then you say I plus is equal to 2. I is equal to I plus 2. Increment I value to 2. Okay, so that means I value becomes 2 here. Okay, so again you compare the current element and its next element. So that means array of 2. Okay, so you check out is equals to array of 3. Okay, so if they are equal, that means they are appearing in a pair. They are appearing in a pair. Okay, right? So then increment array by 2 times. So then array value becomes a 4 here. Array value becomes a 4 here. Okay, so now you compare here. when array value becomes 4 here. Okay, so array of 4 and array of 5. Okay, but array of 5 is not part of this array of 5 is not part of this array. Okay, so like this, once you reach to the end of the array, okay, so then here what happens, the loop terminates. Once the loop terminates, the last element, because this is not compared, this is left. Okay, this is uncompared element. Okay, right, so the element which is left, okay, so is the element that is occurring odd number of times. Okay, so this is the odd occurring element. Got it? So shall we write a code for this? Shall we write a code for this? Okay, so in TCS examination, okay, in TCS examination, even you should write code for handling the input. Okay, like in Infosys examination, you are asked only to complete the function. All the input reading and everything will be taken care by the Infosys portal. Okay, so their editor will read all the inputs. But here in TCS examination, okay, so you need to read the inputs properly. Okay, so then you need to develop the logic. Okay, so first thing is you need to understand how to read the input properly. This input how to read properly. Okay, so this you should understand. That means the first line contains an integer which indicates size of the array. Then the second line contains the number of elements in the array. Okay, so this way you should understand reading the input. So whatever language you prefer, okay, so in that language, how to read such kind of input provided in different lines, you should know that. Okay, so in Python, we will see how to read such input here. Okay, so what we do is, I read the first line here. Okay, so first line, number of elements, no? Then what I do is, I read the input this side so that I can define the function. Okay, so otherwise, I read the input here. Okay, so this is my assume that my main code. Okay, so I'm reading the first line here. Okay, so first line is an integer number, then int of, then say input. So why int of input? Because in Python, input function reads data from the console in the form of a string. Okay, so that means 5 read as a string here. So you need to convert that into integer. So pass it to integer function. It converts into integer and stores it in n value. Okay. So then next you need to read these 5 values. Okay, or whatever number of values present in that. So what you can do is you can use input function. So input function reads the entire data. Okay, so then you need to split the data into individual elements. Okay, so then you can use split function, input dot split, you should say. Okay, so when you say input dot split, so what it does is, okay, so let me write the code here. This input 22311. Okay, so it reads this entire input as a string. Okay, then split function splits this into individual strings. Okay, so individual strings like 2 is one string. Okay, this 2 is another string, this 3 is another string, this 1 is another string, this one is another string. Okay, so here it splits by default white space as the delimiter. Okay, by default white space as the delimiter. Okay, so then it splits and returns 5 integers as 5 strings, returns the 5 string values. Okay, so all these strings now you need to convert them into integer numbers. Okay, so for that, to convert all the numbers at a time into integers, okay, so we have a map function. Okay, so you call the map function, outside of it and pass the first argument as a int. Okay, so this entire thing, input and int. Okay, so this you keep inside the map function. Okay, so pass these two as arguments. So what it does is, whatever input function reads and splits, all those strings will be mapped into integers. Okay, and it returns a map object. It returns a map object. Okay, so what is that map object? 2 2 3 1 1. You will get a map object here. Okay, so this map object containing the integer numbers. Okay, so this you want to store into array here. Okay, so that means you pass this entire thing to a list function. Okay, so then the map object, this is map object. Okay, so the map object is converted into list. Okay, so that you store in a variable called as a array here. Okay, so then now your array contains the integer numbers like this. Okay, so now this is your array, and nothing but it is a list in Python. Okay, so it contains these values here, these 5 values. Your list contains these 5 values. So if you don't read this input properly, okay, then you will end up with wrong outputs. This you should understand. Okay, so this input function n value also I'll write here, so that we follow the alignment, indentation. Okay, so I say that n is equals to int of input, like this. Now you got your array and a number of elements in the array. Okay, right? So once you have array, then what we do is we'll define a function here. Okay, so what is the functions? You define some name, your own name. Okay, if it is already given in the code, you can use that name here. So odd occurring element you want to. Okay, so now I use a function called as odd occurring. Okay, so odd occurring element. This is my function name. Okay, so then what I do, I pass this array. I pass this array to this function. Okay, so it finds odd occurring element and returns that element. Okay, so that I'll store in a result. I store that in a result. Okay, so then you print the result here. Directly you print the result. That's it. Okay, so then the number, odd occurring number 3 will be printed here. Directly it is printed as a 3. Now this is your main code. Now you need to define this function, odd occurring element function we will define here. Okay, so let me define the function odd occurring element. Okay, so then I am passing the array here. I am passing the array. Okay, so what we need to do, the very first thing is, what we need to do, so we need to sort the given array. Yes or no? You need to sort the given array. Okay, so how do you sort? In Python it is very easy to sort the given array. Okay, so what I do is I just call the function array dot sort. Okay, so if I call the function array dot sort, then the array will be sorted in place. Okay, that means the original array will be sorted here. Okay, so now your array becomes like this. So your array looks like this: 1 1 2 2 3. Now your array is sorted. You got sorted array. Just now you iterate, you traverse through this array, iterate through this array. Okay, then whenever you encounter a page, just skip and jump two elements in the array. Okay, so that's how you can traverse the array and find out the odd occurring element. Okay, so how you can iterate, using a for loop here. Okay, so I just use a for loop here. So for I in range, for I in a range. Okay, so what should be the range here? It should start from 0 onwards. Okay, because array indexing starts from 0. Okay, so 0 1 2 3 4, this is array indexing. So 0 to up to length of the array. Okay, so then you say length of the array, 0 to length of the array. Okay, but what is happening here? What is happening here now? Here, when you compare the elements, okay, in pairs. Okay, so there is only one element left, which is occurring odd number of times, which is occurring odd number of times here. Okay, so that means you need to compare only these pairs, only these pairs. Okay, so that means one element you should not compare here. So that means it should be length of array minus 1 times 0 to length of array minus 1. When you say length of array is 5, 5 minus 1 means 4. Okay, so when you ask range function, when you ask range function, okay, so 0 to 4 means what it does, it generates the numbers like 0 1 2 3. Okay, so that means it compares only these numbers. Okay, so only these four numbers will be used for a comparison. Okay, so let us see that. Now this is starting and ending. Okay, then jumping. Okay, so every time you need to jump, it is easy in Python to specify the jump step size as a 2 here. Okay, so that means every time jump I value by 2 steps. That is what we are informing the Python compiler here. Okay, so that means initially I value will be 0. Then after I jumps to 2 steps, 2. Okay, so next I jumps to 4. I jumps to 4, but 4 is not here. So then the loop terminates. Okay, so now let us work out this for I in range. First I value gets 0 here. Okay, so that means the first element, and immediately it's the next element. If both are equal, then we can declare that they are pair. Okay, check if the current element and the next element, if they are different, you can say that the first element is the odd occurring element. Okay, so I am just checking here. If array of I, if array of I is not equals to array of I plus 1, array of I is not equals to array of I plus 1 followed by colon. Okay, so what does it mean if array of I not equals to array of I plus 1? So array of 0 not equals to array of 1. No, here it is equal. For example, if it is not equal, okay, assume that our array after sorting it is like this. For example, if we have 1, okay, then 2, 2, then 3, 3. Assume this is our input array. Okay, so now it compares array of 0 not equal to array of 1. Yes, not equal. Then you can say that this is the odd occurring element. Okay, so then immediately what we do is we return that array of I. We return that array of I, which is odd occurring element. Otherwise, what happens in this case? Okay, so now this is our input array. Okay, so it checks I value 0, array of 0 not equals to array of 1. No, false. Okay, so this is not executed. Then it goes I value jumps to 2 here. I value jumps to 2 here. Okay, so then again it checks array of 2 not equals to array of 3, array of 2, and this is not equals to array of 3. No, false again. Okay, then I value jumps to 4 here. So 4 is not the value present here in the range. Okay, so then the loop terminates. When the loop terminates here, now see, it has compared all the elements. Then whatever element, that means the last element left in the array is nothing but the odd occurring element. Okay, so once you come out from the loop, from the loop, what you say is this is the loop. Okay, so exactly below this, now you can say return. Okay, so how you can access the last element of array? in Python by using array of -1. This returns the last element. Okay, so that last element is the element 3. It returns, that is returned here into the result, and when you print, it prints 3 as the output. That's it. So initially the problem seems to be somewhat confusing. Okay, but if you understand the given points in the problem, okay, and if you figure out some logic from given sample inputs and outputs, okay, so then it becomes easy to generate such a logic here. Okay, so let us execute this code. So let me open online Python compiler. So let us write the code here. Okay, so function we will define here, main function we will write here. Okay, so first you need to read n value. So is it visible? N is int of a input. Okay, so then what you need to do, you need to array values. Okay, so array is nothing but, so what I said, list of then map of actually you should write from right to left, then it becomes easy. Okay, so map of int comma, once you practice you will write this kind of code easily. Okay, so then you can say input dot split. Split is a function. Okay, so which splits based on the white space as the delimiter. Okay, so this splits and returns. Now you just check out whether you are reading the input properly or not. This is the first step you need to confirm, otherwise, okay, so everything will mess up. So just let us run this code and check whether our input is properly read into the variables or not. Okay, so it is running the code. Still it is executing. Yeah, it is taking, net is I think slow. Okay, so it is taking some time to execute this code. So this is the problem with online compilers. Okay, so if you don't have proper internet connectivity, okay, if your internet is slow, then it takes some time. Let me provide the input. Okay, say 2 2. Okay, so then say 3 1 1. So let me run the code again. I think internet connectivity at my end is very slow. Let me refresh this. Okay, so let me copy this. Yeah, otherwise I go with another online compiler. Okay, so this online GDB compiler. Let me open this. So yeah, this runs faster compared to. So let me run this. Now you can see it is expecting the input. Okay, so I'm just typing the input here. Okay, so you can just see 5, then 2, 2, then 3, 1, 1. Now you can see. So it is reading the input properly. Okay, so all the elements are read into the array properly. Okay, so once this is confirmed, no need of these statements. You can remove these statements. Okay, so then you can now call the function here. Okay, so say result is equal to, so just odd occurring element, odd occurring element, you can just say odd occurring element. Okay, then pass the array as a argument here. Okay, so it takes the array and finds the odd occurring element and returns that array that we are catching in result. Now you print the result. Okay, so you will get the result value. Oh, don't write anything. Okay, so only print the number. Whatever is shown in the output in the same format, you should print the result. Okay, so otherwise, even if extra full point if you add to your code, then your code is not accepted. Okay, so in the same format you should print. So now let us define the function here. Okay, so I define the function def. What is our function name? Odd occurring element. This is our function name. Then we'll pass array as a argument. Okay, so the very first thing is we need to sort the array. So just call the function sort. No need to write any logic in Python. There is a function called as sort which sorts this. So is it visible the screen? Okay, so just let me adjust the screen. So I define the function here so that you can see the function definition. Okay, so I'll just move the code. It is moving ahead of the screen size. Okay, so hope you can see the function definition. Okay, now once you sort the array, now what you do, you traverse the array. Okay, so for I in range, okay, so from 0 to length of the array, then minus 1. length of the array minus 1, then increment in step 2. Okay, so once you have, then you check whether if there is no matching element. Okay, so side by side, then the first element itself is the odd occurring element. So if array of I, okay, so if it is not equals to, okay, so array of I plus 1, instead of checking for equality, okay, so it is better to check, because if the odd occurring element is found in the first place, okay, so then directly no need to traverse the entire array. Okay, so if it is not equal, then now you return a array of I, which is the odd occurring element. Okay, so that's it. So once you come out from the loop, the last element present in the array is the odd occurring element. Okay, so that means it has checked all elements up to but one position. Okay, so that's why we have see here length of array minus 1. That means the last element we are not comparing. Okay, so always we'll have odd number of elements in that. Okay, so that last element we are uh, not using in the comparison. So that means if you are coming out from the loop, that means you left with the last element, that is nothing but the odd occurring element that you return here. Okay, so that's it. This is your function definition. Okay, so just move the code. Now you can see. So let us run this code, and I'll enter this. So 5 is the input. Now 2, 2, then say 3 and 1, 1. So 1 space 1. Now you can see 3 is the output printed here. 3 is the output printed here. Okay. So that means the odd occurring element printed on the screen. Now you can verify with other kind of input also. Say for example, our input is a okay, so in the first place, okay, like say for example 2, 2, okay, then 3, 3, then I say 1 here. Okay, so if I enter, now you can see 1 is the odd occurring element in this, odd occurring element in this. So this is always you should pass only valid input. Okay, so you should not take invalid input, and don't bother about your code is not working properly. Okay, so unnecessarily don't create problems yourself. So always pass. If an element is occurring even number of times, it should appear consecutively. Okay, one after the other. And there is only one element which is occurring odd number of times. Here odd number of time indicates only one time. Odd number of time indicates only one time from the sample input, because he has given in the problem statement clearly, it is mentioned in the problem statements. Once look at the problem statement, these points you should understand very clearly. So in the problem statement it is clearly mentioned. So there cannot be more than two consecutive occurrences of an element. Okay, so an element cannot occur more than two times. Okay, so then it is not a valid input to our program. It is not called a valid input. Got? Okay, so now you can test your program with different inputs and output. Okay, right. Now coming to another point that is mentioned in the program. Okay, so whether our code, okay, so whether our code, okay, so will work in order of log n time or not, this you need to check now. Okay, so initially if you don't know what is time complexity and other things, okay, so just try to pick up one such logic and try to complete the logic, execute the code. If all test cases are passed, well and good, leave it. Okay, so that is enough. But if you know some way of identifying the time complexity, then improve your code. Okay, so in this code, what is the time complexity, we will try to identify. Okay, here there is a sort function. Okay, so the sort function in Python generally takes a log n time complexity. Okay, so it takes log n time complexity, where n is the number of elements in the array. That means to sort the array. Okay, so the time taken is log n order of a log n time complexity. Okay, and you are traversing the array. In worst case, you are traversing the entire array. Okay, so that means almost you are traversing a n number of elements. Okay, so it is nothing but n into log n. So that the time complexity of our program is order of sorry, it is order of n log n, but the problem statement says that it should be order of a log n times. Order of a log n times. Okay, so then how to achieve this order of log n time complexity? That means the logic, whatever logic we developed. Okay, so is if the compiler is very strict in checking the time complexity and accepting only if it is of order of log n, then this code is not accepted. This code is not accepted. But don't worry. Okay, you have come up with some logic. You have come up with some logic. Okay, so you understand how your problem is going to be solved. Okay, so then you need to just modify your logic and work out so that you get order of log n time complexity. Got it? Okay, so this brute force approach, what I said is called a brute force approach. Okay, so this brute force approach works well if it is not mentioned, anything is not mentioned in the problem statement about time complexity, then it works well. But if the platform is very strict about time complexity, then you need to modify your logic. Okay, so how to achieve order of log n time complexity for this problem? Okay, so that we will discuss in tomorrow's class. Okay, so to start with, given a problem, how to approach the problem and how to design some solution to the given problem. Okay, and once you designed some solution, how to convert that solution into programming steps. Okay, so this is all what we learned in this video. Okay, slowly if you start practicing like this, take problem by problem, one problem. Okay, then start devising a logic and converting the logic into programming steps. Okay, so then execute it and check with input, sample input and output. Okay, so slowly you are going to improve your problem solving skills, coding skills. This is how you can improve your problem solving skills and also coding skills. So in tomorrow's class, we will see how to achieve order of a log n time complexity. So if you have any doubts, just type your doubts in the chat. I can take up your doubts. Yeah, I have test on February 8th. Okay, so who is this? Jahnavi. Okay, so can you just send your mail to my WhatsApp number so that I can show all kinds of mails that are uh, being sent by TCS NQT. Got it? Is it fine if I follow this speed? Are you able to follow? Just give thumbs up if my way of explanation, speed, everything is fine with you. So this is the first question we solved today, taking an array of integers and finding out a solution using brute force approach. So in next video, we will see how to achieve order of log n time complexity, okay, and how to develop a logic or how to modify this logic and achieve order of a log n time complexity, that we will discuss in the next video. So if you found this video useful, don't forget to like and share this video. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe to the channel and also turn on the bell icon for more such coding related solutions and updates. So thank you one and all. Happy coding.